Hello, everybody. Welcome to our question time session for the upcoming elections. I'm Jim Howson, but that doesn't matter. You're here to see the candidates. So, shall we kick off with the candidates for president? If they'd like to come up to the front here, I'll give them each 30 seconds to introduce themselves, and then we've got questions to be asking them. If your question doesn't get asked, you can always grab them outside of this session. They're about and they're eager to talk to everybody.
Me? All right, no worries. Yeah.
So we'll kick off. Introduce yourselves. 30 seconds.
Wicked. Hello, everybody. My name's Mark Sweeney, and I'm the current Vice President of Student Involvement. Hopefully, you would have all seen me about rather a lot this year, in and around the SU, and at other different events. I'm very heavily involved with the union, as you know, and I have been throughout as a student, and obviously now coming into this role and hope to progress that continuation into president. So thank you very much.
Hello everyone. Hopefully, for those who don't know me anyway, my name is Joe Collins. I'm a third-year sports science and coaching studies student. I'm quite heavily involved in the student union as of now, holding many 5 or 6 roles existing. I won't list them all, but yeah, thank you.
Okay, we'll kick off with the first question we have, which is how can you ensure we have a better connection with our partner colleges?
Well, definitely, that's something we've looked at this year. I mean, we have a pool of money that we allow for our partner colleges, so we like to make sure that we offer them plenty of opportunities for them to get involved with us and become part of our university community. I think definitely carrying that on, it definitely is a massive thing, and maybe increasing that budget. I think we've seen it recently, UCFB, which is one of our partner colleges, coming over to us, really heavily getting involved, meeting our ladies football team, come to a basketball takeover. I think doing things like that really sends a key message to them that they are part of our community, and we need to continue that. So I think possibly increasing that budget, maybe offering them more opportunities to make sure they stay in contact with us, and just be in constant connection with them, making sure that they are aware that they are able to be part of our community.
Well, actually, on my course, I've got a few people who are just doing a top upgrade that came from one of the partner colleges, and earlier in the week I had a meeting with them and discussed some of the things, and one of the main things that they said was that they don't actually feel like a Buck student because they don't hear any of the opportunities that we have. So one of my key points in my manifesto was to make sure that the communication between the university, the students' union, and to all students from all different campuses get the same amount of opportunities led to them and offered so that they can take advantage. So I think mainly is the communication, making sure that they are aware that these opportunities are for them to take forward.
Thanks, guys. Next question is, how would you support the activities that the SU puts on for students, e.g. night events, training, rec activities, etc.?
Just how would I support them?
How would you support them?
Well, as I said, I think, well, I do quite a bit at the minute with a few roles that I have already, but ensuring that numbers are there. When you have a vast amount of numbers, the atmosphere is a lot more creative and a lot more inspiring. It makes people want to come down. So I think communication, I think being a student currently, I speak to people day in, day out on my course and, you know, ask them about things that they haven't heard of. And I just think the communication between, I know the student union does a lot, but I think the university mainly, the opportunities that are being offered, people don't know about them. So it'd be mainly about just making people aware of it, and then that would boost everything, I think.
Yeah, like Joe, I am currently, well, involved with lots and lots of different nights. I mean, I host the karaoke night on a Monday or Thursday, depending on when it is. But I think it's about letting students kind of have the opportunity to come and run events and really getting behind them. I mean, we've seen it. I mean, that's how Unisex started. It was a student-led run event, and now it's massive and it's one of our most popular events. So I think continuing to get behind them and showing students that we are fully supportive of them, and then us showing our faces that we're fully supportive of it, and then increasing the numbers that come, like Joe said, is only obviously going to help those nights. So I think fully supporting it and obviously trying to get more student-led nights will only help them.
Thanks, guys. Next question. What do you think is the biggest challenge facing Bucks SU in the next 12 months, and how would you tackle it?
I think recruitment is one for students. I think everybody's aware that the university community is quite small at the minute, and obviously we want more and more students to be on campus. I think that comes with working really, really closely with the university and making sure that our open days and our prospectuses are really, really appealing. We've got a number of new courses coming in this year that are really going to help with that, and I think we need to be fully supportive of that. I mean, the big deal for us is massive. Obviously, we all know how important it is to us and how it shapes our university life, and I think really, really pushing that is only going to help in terms of getting more and more students here. The Big Deal on Course as well, I know it's an extension of our programme, the university run it, but showing we're fully behind that will only help in terms of increasing those numbers on the university campus and giving more of a buzz.
I would have to agree with Mark. I think recruitment, well, we're both trustees. We sit on a panel and we get to see all the things that's going on in the background. And one of the things is that our university is struggling to recruit students, and hopefully within the next year with these new courses coming in, that will give us a boost. But being in a trustee, I get to see where the decisions are being made, as in where's money being spent and where's it going towards from the university. And quite frank, I think that money in the past has been spent in ways that couldn't have been beneficial. Like, for instance, the courses the sports courses being come have been actually maxed out in places, but yet we still put a banner up advertising them, even though we could advertise other courses like law. So I think money needs to be spent more wisely.
Thanks, guys. Next question. Do you have any plans for the non-standard student, e.g. part-time, post-grad, people who work?
What was that, sorry?
Any plans for the non-standard student, e.g. part-timers, postgraduates?
Manifesto? Yeah. Well, one of my innovative ideas that I tried to bring in my manifesto was to include everyone, and it was about building communal spaces and social hubs, so that if you have a spare hour or two in between your next lecture, that you don't actually have to drive home and get changed or get a bite to eat, where you can actually stay around campus, and that avoids them going home and then making the decision maybe not to travel back in for a later lecture. So it's about building communal areas. If you have a read in my manifesto, I also have an idea I stole from a James Mason University in America. It's called the Nap Nook, where it's where you can go and have the slogan is revive the sleep deprived, so you can go somewhere and recharge your batteries and then come back.
I think social learning space is a massive thing for this. I think, like Joe said, there's a number of occasions where students have come in and they've got massive gaps between lectures and they don't want to go home because obviously going home then coming back again. So they're sticking around, not doing anything. If there's a better environment for them to work in, they're obviously going to want to do that, and hopefully that will then help them succeed. In terms of union opportunities, I think we need to make sure that we're offering something for everyone, and we obviously look to do that. We offer 7 different nights a week at the minute, but really giving students more and more opportunities to get involved in. So if that's a part-time student and they've got families, making sure that we can provide them with an opportunity that obviously takes into consideration their lifestyle at the minute with a family and partners, etc., etc. So just making sure that we have something open for absolutely everybody as a union, so that could become as training development opportunities, recreational opportunities, everything like that. So we just need to make sure we keep an eye on that and obviously offer those opportunities out.
Thanks, guys. Next question, if it hasn't escaped your notice, we've got a new Vice-Chancellor. How do you foresee working with her?
A massive point from me, I think, as she is new, we need a bit of continuity going into the next year. So obviously I've been able to work with her over the last couple of weeks, and we'll do so for the next couple of months. At the minute, we're still testing the waters with those relationships, but it's going to be really, really crucial. And as we both said earlier, recruitment is a massive thing. So in terms of working on recruitment, we're going to have to work really, really closely with her and make sure that everything we do going out to prospective students is massive, and obviously we get those on board. But for the current students, making sure that they still get everything they're absolutely entitled to that enhances the student experience. So that could be the big deal on course, making sure that's delivered properly, and obviously working with them closely and any new ideas that comes along, new courses, course closures, if ever they come about again, because we know how that went last year. So just making sure there is absolute clear communication from the top level at the university, the top level at the union, and then obviously to the student body.
I haven't actually got the chance to meet and speak to her at the minute, but I think that would actually benefit me, because I know, being a SAB last year, you know, any of the SABs would have built relations with the Pro Vice-Chancellor who's actually leaving now. So with her coming in, I would have a clean slate, you know, an initial meet, you know, first impressions, stuff like that, so we could really kick it off. But as Mark says, it is just down to making sure that communication is vital and ensuring that. Well, one thing I always said was that students actually don't get to voice their opinions to the people above the SU high enough. Like, when do we ever get the chance to sit down with the board of directors or the likes of the Pro Vice-Chancellor? Although, yes, we have union council and meetings where we can go through, but I think meetings where we can actually face-to-face talk to the people who actually run this university is essential, and that's one of the things I wish to carry out.
Before we go to the next question, just a quick reminder, if you've got any questions you want asked, write them on a piece of paper, wave it in the air, and we'll come round and collect them. Next question is, how do you think your experience will help you in your role? Do you think your experience will help you in your role?
Some of the roles that I have previously throughout my 3 years, second year I was a fresher helper, activities week helper, student rep, student trustee, which was actually only 4 students within the whole of the university, university football activator for males and females, venue supervisor, an active volunteer logging over 100 hours. So throughout all them roles I've gained many experience and built loads of relationships that I feel would help me throughout my next year.
Yeah, like Joe, my resume is kind of similar with that. I mean, I went from just kind of being an AU member in my first year. Second year was more heavily involved, got involved with absolutely everything I possibly could. Third year progressed that, became a student rep, union council chair, freshers helper, head activities week helper. And now obviously my most important experience I feel is obviously having had a year in office already, being vice president student involvement. It's allowed me to really get my teeth sunk in, I think, to how the union works and what goes on, and developing those close relationships already with university and union staff. And I know exactly where to get things done. So all of my manifesto looks to combat any issues that students have and that have raised with me, and I know where to go and get them done.
Thanks, guys. Next question. What are your plans for Uxbridge students?
I think with Uxbridge, I mean, when I first came in to office as VPSR, I think I was quite naive in terms of manifesto. I think we segregate Uxbridge and partner colleges too much. Yes, every student will have a different need, but I think we need to be more inclusive of our whole university community. A massive thing over at Uxbridge is the library. The library is too small for them to work in. The students that I've spoken to also say the books aren't up to date, or the books that are up to date, they're having to come from here to over to Uxbridge, collect the books, and then get the bus back to Uxbridge to go and work in the High Wycombe Library because the Uxbridge Library is too small. Now, no student should ever have to do that, and that's obviously using our shuttle bus service for a horrible reason. Obviously, that is there to facilitate them to get between each campus, but they shouldn't be having to do that just to do some work. That's going to take 2 hours out of their day just to do it. So creating more social learning spaces where they can go and work in either groups or, and then the library is freed up for more quiet work. And I just think making sure that we keep an eye on them and make sure that everything we do covers them, as well as partner college students. But as I said, we shouldn't segregate them. We should just include every single student as part of our university community.
As regards to Uxbridge, I don't like the way people think of Uxbridge. They don't actually think as Buck students. They think, oh, the Uxbridge students just treat them as they're distant and they don't really take advantage of anything. But in actual fact, I think the points in my manifesto aren't designed for any individual campus in particular. It's something that I want to do across all campuses, and creating communal areas where, as an Uxbridge student was to come to this university and wanted to kill a bit of time, that they have a social space and not just a library, that they can do that, and they can actually mingle with students from this campus and make more friendships and relationships, and then that will actually create a bond and will actually encourage more students to come over and experience this campus. Because the Uxbridge students, they seem like they distance themselves and they stay over there, but we actually wanted to come over and take advantage of all the opportunities that are being listed to them.
Thanks, guys. Next question. What will you do for post-grad students?
As regards to postgraduate students, I feel that when you come back and you're that wee bit older, I feel that you try to distance yourself and you think maybe you go about and do your own thing. But if you're paying money to come to university, you might as well get all your money's worth, as I said. So making sure that the communication is clear. There's so much opportunities out there, and I feel that the benefit that I have of being a current student is day in, day out, I talk to students within a range of studies already, talking to postgraduate students, and the number of roles that I can see that the university are reaching out to try and encourage, but where students actually don't know where they're coming from. From the outside looking in, it doesn't really look like we're reaching out enough, but because I'm in the outside looking out, or in the inside looking out, sorry, it doesn't look, it looks as if we're not trying to do too much.
I think postgraduate students have a very different need to undergraduate students, and we have to take that into consideration. And like Joe said, it's all about clear communication. There is absolutely something for every student at this university and our union. We know the training and development opportunities we offer. Postgrad students can come and get with that. They're fully entitled to the big deal, as well as undergraduate students are. So I really think we have to make sure that we reach out to them and make sure that they are aware of the things they can get involved with. Yes, they will have big commitments, but yes, they shouldn't distance themselves away from getting involved in what the union has to offer, and they can just be like any other student at this institution. So they really, really need to be aware of that, and that comes from us, and it also comes from them, because obviously, as Joe said, we don't want them to distance themselves, but they need to be able to realise that they can just come to us and get involved with absolutely anything we do.
And the last question for you guys, and it's the one that invites the feathers to fly. What do you have to offer that you feel places you ahead of the other candidate?
Well, like I mentioned before, I think I've already had a year in office, and I think that experience is really, really crucial going forward, and especially with the new Vice-Chancellor and the current state that the university is in terms of low recruitment numbers and obviously financial position. I think over the last couple of months, having developed that relationship with the new Vice-Chancellor, I think, as I said before, we need that continuity going forward. We need to be able to make sure that we can have that close relationship and really make sure that the union has a really, really important position going forward as an institution. And I think my experience before as a student and then as VPSR just in generally, I think that is really, really important. So I hope that answers that question.
One of the big things for me would be is not to get sunk down in. I know I graduate everything that Mark has done in the past year, but being in that role and getting those experiences, well, if that was the way that the elections work, then why don't we just keep the same one? We need a new complement of students coming in and out. That's why the role only lasts, a year or 2 years. But one of the things I feel like I have now as a current student, as I say, in all these roles that I currently do, I'm currently intermixing with different groups of people throughout the university and constantly talking to them and realising the problems that they have. So I have that link already, and as a student, I can see what needs to be done from a student looking into the SU and realise that what needs to be grasped out.
Thank you, guys. That's it for President.
Thank you for coming and listening.
I'm sure they're both happy to talk to anybody anytime outside of this meeting.